Here I am out in the middle of the ocean, and as I'm working, the boat is rolling, the ship is rolling back and forth. So I'm going to try to do a good job. I've got the two sheets of tissue. I have my drawing on the top sheet, and the bottom one is just plain. And I'm just going to cut out this fish's shape. And that's why I chose these long scissors, because I don't have to do a lot of intricate details. I am going to cut around the fins, but I'm just going to cut him out and tell you a little bit more about how I got interested in these deep sea fishes. Just when I was little, we had a big sailboat, and it was a big wooden sailboat, and everybody in our family went off on cruises, sometimes overnight cruises, for maybe 2 weeks at a time. And we loved to just stare out at the ocean and imagine what was underneath. Because sometimes when we are way out, we would see the evidence. We'd see a big fin go by, or we'd see ripples in the water where a school of fish were. And I thought that was pretty interesting. But then when I later, as I got older, heard a lecture about the life in the deep sea, I was even more fascinated, because of technology, we're able to learn so much about what is down there. And even 20 years ago, people thought that it was a barren desert of a place. Desert meaning not much down there. And they've since learned that there's a lot of different organisms that live at the very depths of the sea. And this viperfish is especially a big favorite because of its giant teeth. It looks kind of bizarre to see this animal in a photograph, and I can't imagine how great it looks when you see it out of a little small submarine, or submersible is what they call them. And the scientists that go down there, I just have to think they must be so amazing, or else they don't think about them being this frail human being in this environment. They could not live outside the submersible. I think they're pretty brave to do that. And they're in a very small space. But only if you're a scientist can you get to do that. I don't think they take anybody down there unless they are actually doing research, because it's so expensive to go down in one of those submersibles. Also, don't throw away your scraps. We're going to be using those. We're going to use every bit of this paper. I'm just finishing up on his tail. Just kind of rotating this paper around so that I can get a good cut in here. And I'm doing his tail, which is a little bit more fragile. But in a way it's good, because these fins and the tail will wave around in the breezes just like they would in the ocean, because there's constant movement down in the ocean. So, Valerie the viperfish, I think I'll start with the head. I'm just going to fold this back halfway, keeping it lined up. And then the bottom, I've got my white glue. And you don't need very much. Now, this is the tricky part. Where his mouth is, well, can't see, right here. Don't glue there, because we've got to put our hands down his mouth to put in the flashlight and her stuffing. So I'm just going very lightly. Now, you don't want to put too much glue on, and the reason why is because it kind of bubbles up the paper. And you just need a tiny bit, and if you use a tiny bit, it will dry very quickly, and you'll get a seal almost instantly. You'll get a seal. So now I've got that part done, and trying to line up that paper. See, that's the thing about doing it one half first, and then the second half. You can keep the paper lined up. Okay, so now the front part of the fish is done. You've got to separate these two sheets here. Where's a good place? Right here for the tail. And I'm going to do around the edges of the fin. You don't need to. You could just do the fin, completely stick the two together. But I'm going to try putting a little stuffing up on that fin. I didn't do that with the first fish. but the stuffing actually makes him a little bit sturdier for holding that flashlight. Now the tail, I'm going around the edges of the tail, but I don't need to because there's not going to be any stuffing down there. And then, of course, the bottom, I have to make sure I get glue there too because I don't want the flashlight to fall out. Maybe I'll do an extra little line there because I could close the top of my glue so I can use it at another time. And lining up the paper. This is really simple. It almost like wants to go exactly where it's supposed to. Now I'm going to take a chance and start trying to stuff him right now, but you might want to wait a little bit before you do yours. I'm just going to experiment here and see if I've got his head, if I left enough space to get my hand down there. No, not really. I didn't leave enough space. Okay. And here are my scraps. Let's see, I'm going to start with some small scraps, and I'm just going to ball them up. I don't want too big a one for the beginning because it's going to go down his tail. To create a three-dimensional effect. And teachers, if you're watching this video and you think your kids would like making these wonderful creatures of the deep, there's some wonderful websites that show other fish that are bioluminescent, and it's really fun to make them, and you can hang them from the ceiling and pretend that you have a class. One day your class is just going to be at the bottom of the sea. And the other thing about this tissue paper, the reason that I use it, even though it's fragile, it's kind of bendable too. So I can, if it was very stiff construction paper, I'm not sure if we could get quite the bendability of them. It's nice and fat right there. Here's some little pieces. It works out perfectly. It's just the right number of, the right amount of stuffing that we need for this fish. Put my hand down his mouth again. If he breaks apart, don't worry, you can just put it back there, re-glue it if you need to. That didn't happen with my first fish. But now you're about halfway done. Time for the flashlight. And very important tip, turn the flashlight on because you can actually turn it off when it's in the fish, but it's not as easy to do. I'll put the switch right going down towards the bottom of the fish. Ooh, you know what I almost forgot? The little holes, but I can do it after I've stuffed the fish, now that I'm thinking about it. And some more stuffing. If I really wanted to make him a little bit fatter, I could use another piece of tissue. But I am using the black tissue because I want it to look like it's a black fish. And then we will see the light. So this is my last piece of scrap. And in that goes. And I can put a little glue. And I have to decide now, am I going to want to take that flashlight out or can I switch it off? Let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty confident I can switch that off. So I'm going to glue his mouth shut. If I weren't confident that I could switch that off, then I probably wouldn't glue his mouth shut because I would hate to waste those batteries. So here he is lined up again. I had to see he wasn't lined up properly. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a little bit between his teeth. So he has that open-mouthed look. And I could actually cut some teeth too so they look really fang-like. You know, we get on a deep sea website and there's a really great fish called the anglerfish. that has huge teeth, and there's one that lives close to the shore. It lives near where I grew up. That one is called a goosefish or a monkfish, and it's flattened, kind of like a flounder. It goes along the bottom, but then it has this giant mouth. The ones that live in the deep, deep ocean are more compressed vertically. They're thinner, let's put it that way. And they have huge teeth too. But I couldn't find out if they had any bioluminescence, so I stuck with a viper. But I'm absolutely sure that he does. Okay, now I want to make, this fish actually has like little dots along its, would be the ventral side, where the light emits. And it's so amazing to look at. It's almost like a ship at sea. And I'm going all the way through with my big punch right along the edge. Let me move this so that the camera can see. I'm done with the scissors, done with the glue. And I'm just doing a little line of dots going up his side. And, now that I'm thinking about it, if you wanted to do this before you glued him, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Oh, the other thing about this nice tissue paper is if you have to get in deep, like I'm going to do another row of these dots, the tissue paper is a little bit bendable. This is actually the better punch, and it's a little bit smaller. So I'm going to do both of those and make those lines. And by looking at the photograph of the actual fish, which you could look up on the internet, you can see where those little dots are. But they just follow the shape of the fish going down. You really can't go wrong. And then when you turn off the lights, some of the light will be showing through the transparent skin of the fish, and some of them will come out of the light. And then where's my big one? Here's my big punch. I'm going to get in there. I've got one little place where I can get in there. I'm going to do one on his eye. So almost as if you can see the shininess coming out of his eye. There we go. Okay, so fishy is pretty much done. Here's his fin. Oh, I was going to put some tissue up there. I think it's too late. Maybe I could just kind of put through this little hole right here. It would be nice to have it be stiff. Now I'm just going to add a little bit more glue right there where I put my finger in. He's almost done. He's almost done. Now my floss. I will take a piece about that long and take my tape, which I pre-cut, and put it right in the middle of the tape, and then I'm going to fold the tape over and really press down with my fingers so that that floss won't go out. When you're doing this, put it, what I did was made sure there's a little end coming out. And I've got one part of the hanger. The first part of the hanger I'm going to attach right behind his head. There, you can see it. And I'm pressing down really hard on this tape because I want it to stay sturdy. And then the other one I'm going to put right behind his fin because he's going to hang down. That's the main idea. So here's my second piece. Right above his back. I don't need that much tape. I'm just going to cut this little edge off with my scissors. And then I'm going to press down there. And see how he hangs. Oh, he hangs very nicely. So now, here's my dowel. And as I said, you can find a stick from the yard and that. And what the deal is, you just go like this and then do one loop like that. And then bring it up. So it's got one loop, and that just gives the tape something to attach to. So I've wound it around once, and then give that a couple more turns. And let's see how he looks. He looks great. But is that flashlight on? I think I must have turned it off. Oh, there it is. There's the flashlight. It's on now. And so there's Valerie. Well, it's gotten dark now, so Victor and Valerie, I'm taking you out. It's almost like you're on the waves already. Your little lights are on, and outside you go. I want you all to see how they look in the dark. Here they come, Victor and Valerie, denizens of the deep. And here they are against the backdrop of a deep sea ocean, and they're being pummeled by the currents. But you can still see their little lights glowing, and along their bodies you can see deep in the dark depths, and they're bobbing along with the currents and back and forth. And oh my goodness, what a beautiful work of nature those viper fish are.